Hey, it's Matt, and I was actually just going through my shelves over here, was pulling out my stand and my I am statements, and I was going to spend some time reflecting on those before my wife and kids get home from school. And as I was pulling them out, I actually came across a piece of paper that I had not seen or read in actually quite a long time, and so I spent some time with it. And it was actually a letter that my grandfather wrote me on November 8th of 1989, and I was 11 years old, almost 12 years old at this time. And one thing I just noticed as right before I started filming this was that November 8th date actually has a little more meaning than I thought it would. Two kind of substantial things have happened on that date. First of all, this letter, and I'll tell you why in a minute. But the second thing is my father actually passed away on November 8th of 2014 after his battle with cancer. So this is very interesting that this letter is dated the same. So the quick kind of background on this story is, my grandfather knew of my love for the game of baseball, and I started playing when I was 5 years old, and I'm wearing my Wiener Neustadt Diving Ducks jersey where I played over in Europe, and so he knew my love for baseball, and I knew he had in his possession a ball signed by the 1936 Yankees, and he told me at a fairly young age that at some point he'd probably pass that on to me, and I didn't really think much of it. And on November 8th of 1989, that's when he actually gave it to me, and with it this letter. He wanted me to understand the story behind the baseball and where it came from and the importance of it. And it's actually really interesting. He writes in here, it's time you should have it. And my way of saying thanks to you for winning one for Grandpa. Excuse me, it's a little choked up a little bit. And he goes on to talk about how he got the baseball, because people would ask him all the time. And the short story is that he drove a friend of the owners of the New York Yankees. He drove her from Denver to St. Louis, and as part of this payment, they actually gave him this ball. So for you baseball aficionados out there, it's signed by like Lou Gehrig, Joe DiMaggio, the whole team, and it's a really cool thing. But he gave this to me to cherish and to keep and to kind of watch over, and he wanted to pass that that to me and explain its importance. And I won't go into the whole letter, but he says at the end, which is what I wanted to talk to you about today, but he says this at the end. He says, I hope the baseball brings you much good fortune and that you participate in many experiences which you win, and sometimes win by losing. And it just really caught my eye again, and I've read this letter numerous times, obviously, but that last phrase of, sometimes you win by losing. And it just makes me really reflect on my business and my life. And we all face that adversity, right? I can think back to all sorts of situations where we experience this loss. And sometimes that loss can be the best thing that's ever happened to us, or at least something that can propel us forward in a very positive way. I think back to, I was a walk-on. I tried out at Creighton for baseball. I was cut after my freshman year. I experienced this loss of my identity in sport, and it is the best thing that happened to me. It was the reason I started Pro Athlete Advantage, was that experience. I think back to, even losing my father on November 8th of 2014, and while I miss him every day, I think of him every day, that was one of the best things that could happen, because I took such positive things from it. The way he was composed, the way he smiled all through his battle with cancer, how he left me a gift that I constantly talk about. How, while it's cliche to say life is short, it is. And how do we take advantage of it? How do we impact people's lives? And that's something I tell people all the time, of like, my dad left me a gift that I get to do this on a daily basis. That's why I have so much energy for it, and why I go out there and get after it. But how even that loss of my father has just propelled me forward. It's made me win in my life and take advantage of what he set before me. And maybe, you're in a position right now where you're experiencing loss or that adversity, or you have in the past, and it's something that's just holding you back. And I want to challenge you to look at it as perhaps a win, that maybe the loss isn't so bad. and you can take the good from it, and you can use that as fuel for your future and what you want to create. And even though it's something that is difficult and that you might think about on a frequent basis, again, it's a gift that's been given to you. I even think about my business too. There's some deals I win, some deals I lose, and the ones I lose, while in the moment it's difficult, it often is the best thing that could have happened to me. And I'm so fortunate for that. And I just want to challenge you to kind of reframe that. And I want you to look at whatever loss you've experienced in your life and figure out what good you can take from it today. That's what I wanted to share with you today. My letter from my grandfather, November 8th, 1989. And just what a fabulous kind of legacy that my grandfather's left me, and something that I have on a piece of paper typed out is just incredible to me. So I will leave you with that for today. And as always, I'm going to see you very, very soon. I hope you have a great rest of your day.